My parents have a pretty atypical relationship style, but it works for them. They don't hug or kiss and have a pretty calm marriage. My younger sister is in college and came home with some bizarre ideas. She told me and our parents that she wanted to present something she did in class. I didn't want to see it, but my mom was excited and supportive. So we gathered in the living room and she pulled out a slideshow that ended with, "Mom's a cheating witch." Mom was confused and heartbroken. Dad was yelling at my sister, and my mind was just blank. She just kept arguing with my dad. I learned way too much about my parents' lives than I wanted to at the moment. Then she presented her evidence. A really blurry picture of Mom in her car with a guy wearing a baseball cap. She also said that Mom had put in the time to look good, she was getting flowers, and she'd gone through the trash to find out that Mom had thrown out some incriminating stuff. Well, she wasn't Sherlock Holmes. The guy in the car with Mom was my dad. Obviously it was him, you could see it in the picture if you're not a moron. They're just having fun because we're not kids who live at home anymore. Now my sister complains that our parents are acting cold, especially Dad. He'd never been cold to her, and now he makes snarky comments. Mom forgave her quickly, but Dad was mad for disrespecting his wife and our Mom. She said she was looking out for Dad, and it wasn't fair that he was mean and distant. I told her it was her fault. She started crying. My family found out about her stunt because my sister was going to send the slideshow to them. Some said I was the idiot because she did it out of love for Dad and she's just young. Am I the idiot for telling my sister it was her fault our parents were cold to her after she accused my mom of cheating? Well, she wasn't Sherlock Holmes. The guy in the car with Mom was my dad. This is one of the funniest things I've ever read. Not the idiot. I can totally picture your mum. I have absolutely 100% been having a love affair with that guy since exactly the time I started dating your dad. You've caught me, 30 years on, and I'm still crazy about that guy. Honey, he's your biological father. As a side note, she might want to rethink her career choice if she considered going into detective work. Yep, she sees a picture of her dad with a baseball cap on and she says, "I've never seen this man in my life." Same IQ as a toddler. Sort of like when Dad shaves off his beard and his kids cry and run away. What shocks me is how easy it was for her to call her mother a cheating whore. Like what? Yeah, even in the case that your mother had been cheating, what kind of person reveals the cheating in such an awful way? Making a slideshow and showing all of you together isn't about love, it was theatrics and drama. And she was wrong. So she set up a whole thing to embarrass and shame your mom when, it turns out, your mom did nothing wrong. If I were your parents, I'd be upset about that. Dude, your sister has issues. This wasn't normal or intelligent. It's like she wanted to make a show out of it, recreate a soap opera, and didn't really give a damn about your parents' feelings. If I found out my mum had cheated, I would absolutely talk to her first and make her tell my dad. If she didn't, I would approach my dad privately, tell him, be there for him, etc. OP should respond with a PowerPoint labelled, "Reasons why sister is a moron." If sis gets angry, OP can say this is how she thought sis preferred breaking up setting news and showing love. You told her the obvious truth, the consequences of her actions. She made a massive error. This was not the kind way to handle it. I wonder if she was recording it somewhere for some TikTok React video and whatnot. My two oldest kids are in college and working part-time to earn spending money. They live at home and we pay for their tuition, cars, insurance, and basically everything except their spending money. I have a small construction company and run a crew of about 15 men, including my son. Lately, we've been doing mainly roofing jobs. My son's job is to help remove the old shingles, pick up any shingles that missed the dumpster, and help prep the roof. Once the installation starts, he delivers a steady stream of shingles, nails, and other materials to the nailers. It's a dangerous and challenging job, so I pay him about $25 an hour. My daughter works as a cashier, but most of the time she's standing at the self-checkout lanes and rarely behind the register. She's paid about $15 an hour. Last weekend, my son bought his girlfriend a new iPhone for Valentine's Day, and he was talking about the restaurant he would take her to. Since it's an expensive phone and restaurant, my daughter asked where he got the money. That led to how much I paid him, and she got mad. He's been working with me for about 4 months, but she's never shown any interest in what we do or asked anything about his job or pay, so it surprised her. The short version of a week-long argument in our house is that she thinks it's unfair that he's making so much more than she is. I offered her the same hourly wage if she wanted to join her brother on the roof, but she went once and didn't finish the day. Instead, she wants us to compensate for the difference in their paychecks. My wife thinks I should find an easier job, like just letting her pick up the shingles that miss the dumpsters. I said that's an easy job, and I'm not paying her $25 an hour for a minimum wage job. I told her she could make as much as her brother, but she didn't want to carry heavy, dirty shingles. Now both women are giving me the silent treatment. Last night my wife went so far as to eat dinner with our daughter before my son and I got home at 6, and later went to bed without saying a word to me all night. Am I the idiot for not filling the pay gap? Edit, my wife doesn't work. She stays at home and cares for our younger kids. I didn't make it clear, but our daughter works for a grocery store, not for me. I have a very small company. With 15 men, I have 2 crews on large jobs or 3 on smaller jobs. There's no bookkeeping or other positions she can do because I do those on the weekends. There are only the construction positions. None of our kids are interested in taking over my company, and it'll close when I retire. Our son just got accepted into dental school, and our daughter is almost done with her education. Our younger kids have their own dreams. Not the idiot. This is a valuable life lesson for both your children, who must rely on themselves to earn what they want. How would your son feel if his sister, who quit the same more taxing job he performs daily, just got a free ride because she stomped her feet and threw a tantrum? And how would your daughter behave in the cruel real world if you gave in now? She would go up to people she isn't related to and demand things she hasn't earned, or turn down key career opportunities because she thinks she can and should start at the top right away. And their mother. Holy cow, she needs to set her perspective as an adult straight, or maybe get some roof time in. I had to reread it, but his daughter doesn't even work for him. She works for a totally different employer. The entitlement is gross. OP, you're the only sane adult here. Some things must be learned and not twisted at home to create wrong expectations regarding the real world. Wonder what Mom would say if the daughter was doing complex office tasks and making more than their son. OP, your wife isn't doing feminism any favors. If your daughter can do the work but chooses not to, that's her choice. I tell my kids, choose your consequences. You've offered your daughter the opportunity to make the same pay as your son. She has chosen her consequence. My parents have 4 kids. I'm a male teen, the oldest, and the next is my brother Harry, younger teen, then my sister Jazz, tween, and then my youngest sister Amy, pre-tween. Harry and Jazz have autism. Neither can talk clearly, but mumbling is the best they've learned, and they were delayed developmentally, so walking came later for them as well. Harry and Jazz are in a special needs school, a private one, because my parents wanted the best chance for them, and this place was highly recommended. Both my parents work longer hours for this, and because of the longer hours they work and the aftercare they're paying for Harry and Jazz, it's meant I needed to take on more responsibility, especially with Amy. I care for her every day after school until our parents come home. That includes cooking and deep cleaning the kitchen after I finish making food for us, so my parents can cook for Jazz and Harry and not risk any issues with the food, because both have highly sensitive taste buds and limited diets. When Harry and Jazz go for respite or all-day therapies, my parents make time for Amy and just Amy. They don't want her to feel left behind or like she doesn't matter. I do not get the same attention. I never did, even when I was younger and things were bad. Amy was always the kid they prioritized time with when they had it, and I had expectations put on me that I would do my best to give her a great childhood. They put a lot of that responsibility on my shoulders by the time I was just 11. Because of my parents' working hours, I'm also responsible for keeping the house clean. Sometimes I'm the only person who cleans in a week. I used to try and get Amy to help out with some light stuff, but my parents told me to let her enjoy her childhood. Recently, my uncle and aunt died, and my cousin, who also has autism, ended up in foster care. My parents wanted to take him, but they told me they would need me to step up and do more to make it work. They even told me how bad my cousin has it in foster care right now. Dad told me he hasn't found stability since his parents died several weeks ago. So what do they want? They want me to take over all the cooking and do the grocery shopping, but not with Amy, of course. And they want me to start adjusting to having 3 kids, 2 with special needs at times, so they can take 1 kid at a time to their therapies and appointments. It made me angry because they also asked me to babysit all 3 special needs kids so they could make a bit more time for Amy because it would be hardest on her. I was angry, so I said, sure, I'll do it, but only until I'm 18, and then I'll be done and they will never see me again. My parents told me my anger was unwarranted and that everyone has to make sacrifices when a family is dealing with this many special needs kids. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but what the heck? I'm sorry for what you're going through, little bro. I'm so angry for you right now. They expect you to throw your whole life away to look after kids that aren't even yours. You don't need to feel guilty about wanting to leave. You don't need to feel guilty for feeling angry and neglected. Taking care of your siblings or cousins should not be your job. When OP is 18, Amy will be a tween. This tracks with the age at which they started giving OP housekeeping and babysitting chores. OP should make a phone call to CPS if he sees his parents parentifying the youngest like that. OP should also go no contact with his parents once he turns 18. They have abused and neglected him since he was 10 years old. It's a shame that other adults, as teachers or grandparents, didn't realize or didn't care and didn't step up to protect OP. Dude, you better have an actual working plan for getting out at 18 or you're doomed until you figure it out. Neither your current days nor the ones your parents are planning for you leave you with the time to earn money for independence. You have no responsibility for their choices, but that won't matter if you can't get out. My niece, a young teen, has lived with me since her parents went to prison 5 years ago. My sister is getting out later this year. She's been working very hard in prison to improve herself and get her GED. We're still very close. We talk via an app the prison provides, and I take her daughter to visit her, along with her brother, who lives with his dad's brother, once a month. We were having a birthday dinner at my mother's for myself and my daughter, a teen. Most of my family was there. For my present, my niece decided to give me adoption request papers, or whatever they are. I never ended up reading them. I was stunned and just shook my head. I was so shocked and confused. The plan was she was always supposed to go home. My mother was upset by this request, as were my other siblings, and my husband couldn't think of what to do either. She never brought this up in counselling or anything. I can't do that to my sister. I would not be able to take care of her financially without support from my grandma, who would stop supporting me if I agreed. This was never even a thought. Now she and my daughter hate me, it seems. My son, 21, said it was probably something she got from TikTok and she will eventually get over it. My husband agrees with me. My siblings are staying out of it. My nephew isn't speaking to his sister now. It's a mess. Am I the idiot here? Edit, my sister has a home with a lot of rent paid and a job with my aunt waiting the minute she gets out. Not the idiot. Yes, your immediate response could have been better, but you were shocked and caught off guard, so it was understandable. Did your niece have help from an adult to get these adoption request papers? If so, was this person aware that she was always supposed to return to her mom? If you haven't done so already, talking to both your niece and daughter separately about why you didn't agree to the request is probably in order. Info, you say your daughter is angry about it too. Could it have been your daughter's idea, and could she have been influencing your niece? The daughter could be the idiot if she pushed her niece to have the conversation publicly rather than in private. I disagree. You are the idiot. It's not even debatable for me. You took her in for years from a small child until now. You raised her and clearly showed her love no one else was more capable of doing. You made her feel like she had a real mother figure. You made her feel loved, wanted, and like a part of your own immediate family. She and your daughter clearly feel like sisters. So when she does what children do and attaches to you, your first response is not to comfort her or say yes. It was purely to say no. Worried about your sister and your mom? Why are they more important than her? You really have some screwed up priorities. I feel terrible for that girl who now found out all she ever was to any of you was a burden and placeholder to be good to her mom, who was never there for her. She will hate you all for a long time now. You came here and still never even read the papers. Wow. The 53 male have a daughter, 27, getting married in a few months. We'll call her Kay. Kay has been with her soon-to-be husband for about 5 years now, and they're finally tying the knot. I know he makes her happy, and that's all a father could possibly hope for, especially since I didn't have a great time being married to her mother. I did remarry a couple of years back, as has my ex-wife. Because we are divorced and my ex-wife has had primary custody, I've had to accept knowing there has been another man helping raise my daughter. I don't like him, but not for any reason that makes a difference in this case. But they've been together since Kay was a child, around 8 or so. I used to take Kay every other weekend until she was 15 or 16 and she started working. After that, I tried to see her as much as possible when she had time. I did my best to stay as much in her life as I could, but once she got older, she had her own stuff going on and it became hard. I did end up moving down to Florida about 2 years ago with my now wife, so seeing Kay has become impossible unless someone travels, but we still talk. Kay has been busy planning her wedding and I don't get a say in what happens. Kay called me asking me to provide the bar charge, which was around $3,000. I told her that shouldn't be an issue since I'll have time to get that money together. Besides that, not much has been said about her wedding. Well, my sister visited us from Wisconsin and we talked about Kay's wedding. I don't know what got the conversation going, but my sister filled me in on an interesting fact. Apparently, Kay wants me and her stepfather to walk her down the aisle. This is the first I've heard of this. This surprised me since our wedding. At this point, we were both upset. I told Kay that if she cared so little about me to take my feelings into consideration, I had no interest in taking part in her wedding, but it really seemed like she didn't care about me. She never thought to tell me on her own, never cared to ask me who I wanted to invite to her wedding, and really only brought her wedding up to me when she asked me for money. After all of this happened, I've had some people tell me I was an idiot, but I think I have every right to not attend her wedding if I don't want to. Yeah, you are the idiot. You divorced her mother remarried, and your daughter's family grew. It's lovely she wants to honor you and her stepfather for your contributions to her life. For everything you may have done wrong, you had a hand in raising a gracious, thoughtful woman. Instead of appreciating your daughter, you get on your high horse and tell your daughter my way or the highway. You throw a tantrum like a child, take your ball and go home. Your friends are right. And if you want to miss your daughter's wedding because you're petty and small-minded, so be it. On top of everything, the first thing he did when he called her was try to pull some financial leverage. I don't know if this was to pick a fight or to manipulate her into, well, I'll make some sacrifices to pay for it, but you have to agree that I'm the only one walking you down the aisle. But kicking the conversation off with that gave a real glimpse into the type of person OP is. You parented your kid 4 days per month until you parented 0. That other man was her full-time parent every day of her childhood. This isn't about your daughter, it's about your pride. My God, she wants the 2 men to give her away at her wedding and you're throwing a tantrum over it? Wow. Just wow.